were struggling, but in the tournament they have locked in defensively, and it's been a big reason why they're in this final game.
Look at the difference from their defensive numbers from the season to the last couple of games. Hey, number 2 doesn't seem so difficult when they've already taken down the top seed in the tournament. Just a few days ago, snapping South Dakota State's win streak and holding the Jackrabbits to 40 points. Away we go. Glad you're with us. The winner of this one advances to the NCAA tournament and takes home the title. It's South Dakota in the white as they're the higher seed, and Omaha in the visiting black. And Steffi, South Dakota, such a terrific offense. In this starting 5 are 3 seniors who Dawn Plitzowite raves about.
Yeah, the big 3, the seniors in the starting lineup for South Dakota, account for almost 63% of the points scored. And Hannah Shervin already trying to establish herself on the block, the defending MVP of this tournament.
That was Shervin, number 34 in the white, and the first 3 is down. Chloe Lamb from deep.
So the key for Omaha in this game is to avoid any kind of offensive lull. They've got to knock down some perimeter shots. They play inside out in this game.
Traveling violation on the drive in. But welcome to the Sanford Pentagon in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. It's Championship Tuesday. We'll crown a Summit League champion today. The 8 seed, the Omaha Mavericks, become the first 8 seed ever to advance to the title game. And taking on no stranger to this championship game. That's South Dakota. The Coyotes are here for a 4th straight year with Steffi Sorensen, the former Florida Gators captain. Kevin Fitzgerald with you. Now, one of those routes is a typical one. The other, not so much.
Yeah, nobody thought Omaha was going to be here. And when they upset South Dakota State in the quarterfinals, I think a lot of people around women's basketball were pretty shocked. You know, South Dakota State, obviously a ranked team, very well coached by Aaron Johnston. And Carrie Banks in her first year just has this team believing in what they can accomplish. They've been able to defensively lock in, and that's how they've been able to get here.
Catching their stride at the right moment, they've won 5 of 6. Including 3 of their final 4 regular season games. Banks spent the last 4 years at Ohio State. You referenced this about her. The winning it's in her DNA. Ohio State, of course, lives in the NCAA tournament. And that is where she is trying to guide Omaha in her first season.
Yeah, she took the job for the people and the potential. And during a weird year, during COVID, a lot of Zoom calls, Zoom interviews. Kevin, I think my favorite story in talking to Carrie Banks was the fact that she got in her car from Columbus, drove all the way to campus in Nebraska, 12-hour ride, visited campus for a few hours, got the feel for it, drove back all in one day, decided to take the job.
That was 12 hours each way.
Something she said I'd prefer not to do again. I don't blame her. But an unusual year, obviously, with hiring coaches, but she believes in this team, and they believe in her.
Playing with a great deal of belief after toppling the 1 seed South Dakota State back on Saturday. Defeated Western Illinois in the semis yesterday, and here they are trying to shock another South Dakota-based team in the title game. This is Shervin. A terrific big-to-big pass. And it's Janaya Yugowski.
South Dakota's really solid defensively. They communicate well. They play good team defense, and when a player like Hannah Shervin can protect the paint, you can get out and pressure and cause some havoc.
All sorts of pressure. On Elena Pilakuta, that's Omaha's leading scorer. Yugowski offline this time. South Dakota.
In the regular season, Kevin, this game between these two teams, it got canceled. So they're still trying to fill out the pace and the rhythm of this game because they didn't ever get to play against each other. And obviously this is a very different Omaha team with the way that they're playing here in the tournament championship.
2 to shoot, and does Killian realize it? That's another turnover. So that's the 5th for Omaha. So you're right, because the weekend series between these two got canceled in late January. The last time these two squared off was a little more than a year ago in the first round of this tournament, and a lopsided affair.
Yeah, it wasn't
South
pretty,
Dakota
to say the least, right, Kevin?
Not at all. Another 3 for the Coyotes. This time, Morgan Hansen. And this is exactly the start that Carrie Banks was hoping to avoid. Her team down 8-0. While South Dakota, Steffi, plays a little faster, Omaha is going to try to slow it down a bit on this end, no?
Well, yeah, that's what they did to beat South Dakota State. They really slowed the game down. They didn't play with a particularly fast pace, but you see the speed and the tempo with which the Coyotes want to play with. They want to push. They don't want to let Omaha sit back and defend them.
Pilakuta with the rejection.
Omaha's got to run their offense through Pilakuta. I mean, she's their anchor in the paint. She's a great passer, and she's had limited touches because South Dakota's defending her extremely well, doubling her at times too.
She's number 5 in the black. Sophie Johnston couldn't get that one to fall. So the Mavericks 0 of 3 from the field to start. On the pull-up, Lamb earns some free throws. The Coyotes looking to claim their second straight league title off to a fast 8-0 start.
I can go anywhere, do anything I wanna do, it's true. When I feel that pressure, I deliver, I'm unstoppable. Yeah, yeah, let me prove that.
Balls brought to you by SoFi. Get your money right. And Sanford Health. Better health starts with primary care. Find a provider at sanfordhealth.org. In Sioux Falls. And there they are, the Falls. This is Dawn Plitzowite's 5th season at USD. She has guided her program now to 4 straight conference championship games. It's amazing, Steffi.
Yeah.
The excellence that she has just continued since taking over at South Dakota 5 years ago.
Well, you can tell with her ability to recruit and the culture with which they help cultivate. You basically have 5 coaches out on the floor and 2 on the bench, 2 to 3 at any given time. So she leans on them, especially these seniors, the big 3, Liv Korngable, Chloe Lamb, and Hannah Shervin, to kind of steer the ship. And Kevin, this was a year, I feel like, coming in that if you had leadership and you had experience, you would get yourself to play in March and through March if you had that. And South Dakota is a well-oiled machine because of that. They've got leaders. And, you know, I love the stories that Dawn Plitzowite was sharing with us about whether they were cooking for the freshmen when they came in, but they take care of everybody. You know, I love that.
It just seems like there's an appreciation Every player appreciates one another. Accountability just courses through the program, which is nothing new. It's a 10-0 lead for the Coyotes. Off to a fast start. Omaha 0 of 3 from the field now after the recent miss.
And you can see the game plan. The fact that the teams didn't meet, but the game plan coming in the regular season, but this game plan for South Dakota was to not really let Omaha establish their post player, Elena Pilacuda. We've been working on that, Kevin. We've been working on that. We've got it.
She's off the floor now. Mariah Murdy checks in, and no matter for South Dakota. That's Chloe Lamb with her second triple.
Well, I like this substitution because Murdy's a little bit more mobile. She's quicker. She's able to play along the perimeter, so.
Inside out pass to Johnston on the drive. And a tie-up. So possession stays with Omaha. And you just saw it a moment ago, South Dakota, if it should win, projected right now right around that 10 seed mark. And we will have the man himself, Charlie Cream, our bracketologist, to go over some scenarios around the country as we are, 6 days away from Selection Monday. He'll join us at the end of the first quarter. That first basket is Josie Filers. The Des Moines, Iowa native have Mavericks on the board.
I think that's got to get Omaha going offensively. Just a three-point shot, a little bit of juice in their system, because there's no question they're probably nervous coming into this game against a South Dakota team that very much is comfortable playing in this environment. Carrie Banks telling us that the biggest part of this game will be mental for her team, believing that they can come away with a victory.
Claire Killian scores it off the window, and that's just the leader, the backbone of this Omaha team.
She's had a fantastic semifinal game. Just 1 3 that she missed, hit 6 on the day, and now you're seeing Omaha kind of settle into this game. Hit the 3, got inside. Now their defense is starting to become a little bit more settled, limiting the offensive rebounds for the Coyotes.
South Dakota with 4 already. Omaha trying to capitalize off the one-and-done possession. That's a kickball. So Monday night, we'll have the exclusive live announcement of the 64-team NCAA Women's Championship field.
It'll be an interesting tournament nonetheless. That ACC has been up and down, Kevin, the ACC and the men's side this year.
Omaha defeated Western Illinois yesterday in the semis. Took down the top-seeded South Dakota State on Saturday. Liv Korngable got it.
Too open. And Omaha's got to clean that up, close out quicker. I mean, South Dakota in their motion offense, they're moving fluidly, constantly without the basketball.
Dakota offline. "15 seconds to go in the first quarter. South Dakota with a 10-point advantage. 5 of 15 from the field to start. Ebert, no. 3 seconds. Killian, the heave. It's a South Dakota advantage after that one nearly clanged in from 50 feet. 10-point lead for the 2 seed, the Coyotes. Charlie Cream, our bracketologist, joins us when we return for the second quarter.
The NCAA tournament.
Perez will keep it and take it and hit it with 2.1 to go.
And the Stanford Cardinal with the trophy.
South Carolina owns the SEC tournament.
8 tickets have been punched. We will have a 9th when this one goes final. Take a look who is headed to the NCAA tournament already. Dawn Plitzowite's Coyotes have the 10-point lead as we start the second quarter, and we are delighted to be joined by Charlie Cream, our bracketologist. So, Charlie, how will things play out for the Summit League? What's going to happen if South Dakota wins? What happens if Omaha pulls the upset?
Well, I think let's start with Omaha can pull the upset. It's conceivable Omaha getting in with the automatic bid that the Summit could have 3 teams in the field. South Dakota would certainly be right there on the bubble with a loss today as an at-large team, but the possibility would exist that 3 teams from the Summit, and in this unusual year, that would certainly be an unusual result. If South Dakota wins this game, obviously they become the automatic qualifier, and we're looking at 2 teams, because I think South Dakota State is pretty safe to be in the field.
Hey, Charlie, how do you look at this South Dakota State team? They got upset, obviously, by Omaha. They've got a key injury to one of their best players. Will it affect their seeding? I think they're safe to be in, but where do you see that coming to fruition?
Well, that's a great point, Steffi. They are almost certain to be in the field, but the injury to Maya Selland and also to Tori Nelson, if she can't come back, will affect their seeding. So inclusion in the tournament is just based on your body of work, and their body of work certainly qualifies to be a tournament team, but their seeding is going to be negatively impacted. But if the injuries hadn't happened, I would have seen South Dakota State as a 6, maybe even a 5 seed. But with the injuries, I think we're looking at something like a 9. It could even possibly slip to something like a 10. So the injuries obviously are having an impact. Obviously, it had an impact in that quarterfinal game against Omaha, and it's going to impact the seeding as well.
So you're saying that the Summit could have 3 teams that go in, and you're saying that because South Dakota, their body of work and their net and the way that they've handled their business in the non-conference, is that kind of what you're saying?
That is what I'm saying. I'm not entirely positive that South Dakota will make it. They've got a resume that says perhaps. I know that's sitting on the fence for sure. But their net in the mid-30s would suggest a tournament team. They don't have any top 25 or even any top 50 net wins, but they played a tough non-conference schedule, and they played that non-conference schedule well. So how you look in losses is one of the criteria that the committee uses. And I go back to the South Carolina game that they played way back in the beginning of the year, where they gave South Carolina a real test. And it's those kinds of results that the committee, I think, would look at and say, yeah, that's a tournament-worthy team. They haven't been able to do a ton since, but because they didn't beat South Dakota State at all in the Summit, that would have been their opportunity to get one of those real quality wins. But I think the way they played at the beginning of the year, the way the net rating sets up for them, gives them a real shot at being an at-large team.
Charlie, what has been a surprise for you so far? We've seen some tickets be punched, but something maybe we can look for this week that's on your radar?
Well, the game that's coming up a little bit later in the WCC is very much in the center of my radar right now because BYU I have on the outside. If they can upset Gonzaga, then obviously BYU gets in the field. That steals a spot from an at-large team, and we start to see some of those bubble teams that I have just in the field start to drift off. It would be Central Florida for now, but just imagine the scenario where Central Florida then turns around and wins the automatic bid by winning the American Conference. Well, then, of course, the Knights are back in the field, and somebody else loses their spot. It could be somebody like Mississippi State, could be somebody like Wake Forest. Even DePaul, I think, is really on the fringes now.
There is your last 4 in, your first 4 out. Charlie, I don't imagine this is going to be your only appearance today offering your insights, so good luck the rest of today and throughout Champ Week as well as we approach Selection Monday.
Well, thanks for having me. It's always fun to talk about this stuff.
Thanks, Charlie.
Thanks again, Charlie Cream, our bracketologist. Busy man this time of year. It's a fluid bubble right there. You saw BYU, of course, in that WCC championship game against Gonzaga that is coming up after us. Meanwhile, 8-point game again. Omaha trying to chisel away. It was down by 10 at the end of the first. Shervin got a piece of the Lamb miss.
You could see the pace there on that possession. They get this opportunity to run, but want to slow it down, run their half-court offense. Shervin just all over Pilakuta.
Step back 3. And that one's down for Lauren Frost.
She's feisty. She comes in off the bench. She's ready to go. She's locked in. She's definitely given them a spark offensively when they've needed it.
Especially with the difficulties finding Pilakuta. That one off the window. It's Chloe Lamb. And feeling it early with 8 points. Steffi, she's coming off the 18-point game in the semifinal win over North Dakota State, having a great tournament. It's strange not seeing the Jackrabbits in this championship game. It's been South Dakota and South Dakota State for each of the last 3 years. This year, though, Omaha crashes the party, and there is the Cyprus native, Elena Pilakuta. Frost on the move off the miss. So Omaha back within 5.
Yeah, they're starting to hit shots, and avoiding those offensive lulls will be so key for this team to move forward. And again, Elena Pilakuta, the offense runs through her, very efficient around the rim. Hey. Frost, I said she's feisty. Didn't think she'd get a T right this early in the game, but clearly out there passionate. They're going to take another look at this.
You are right, a technical assessed. The officiating crew today, Missy Brooks, Doug Knight, and Zach Brost. And so there is one assessed to Lauren Frost. Here's what happens at the end of the play.
What do you think, Kevin? What you got, referee Kevin? A little extracurricular.
Freshman from Brooklyn Park, Minnesota. So it's Lamb to the free throw line. Well, it was the Omaha native, Maddie Krull, who came flying in to swipe it out of her grasp to start that sequence. And if you're Omaha, those are points you don't want to just give away carelessly.
Yeah, good point. And Frost, just a freshman. This is her first time in this kind of environment. And obviously fiery and passionate, wants to win this game, but just got to keep her cool. Because South Dakota, I mean, they've been here. You know, they're not a team that's going to get rattled very easily.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by This Is Real Life. This is life. This is farming. On games, it's the Big 12 Championship beginning tomorrow. Right here on ESPN, it starts with TCU, Kansas State, Oklahoma, and Iowa State. The championship game is on Saturday. Baylor, the 1 seed, Kansas, the 2. Just that one measly loss for Baylor this season. Just ran through the league.
Yeah, I think the men's tournament and the women's tournament, NCAA tournament, the fact that all the women's programs are going to San Antonio and all the men's teams will be in Indy. I just can't wait to see how that looks. I mean, it's going to be so different for everybody to be there and at different sites and how it all works. But I know one thing, you and I are grateful, the coaches are grateful to take the floor today and get the opportunity to get there.
It's amazing to think. It was a year ago, South Dakota wins this game, was ready to advance to its 3rd NCAA tournament. And, of course, about 48 hours later, that went by the wayside. I would think San Antonio, Indianapolis, it would just feel almost like a larger conference tournament. A little more travel involved, as you're going to have to go from location to location, at least on the men's side.
I think the difference between the men's and the women's is the women's usually the first 2 rounds are hosted by the top 16 teams. So that's what will be missed, I feel like, for the women's NCAA tournament, how that shakes out. But there's really been no home court advantage this year. I mean, it's kind of like playing at a neutral site, given the fact that there's very little fans in attendance, if at all. And I think that's something that this Omaha team kind of alluded to when they upset South Dakota State. There was not very many fans, and this tournament typically has a ton of both South Dakota State and South Dakota fans as they've dominated it in years past. But here comes Omaha. They're finding their stroke offensively. They've shut down Hannah Shervin.
Birdie with the latest basket for Omaha. She just tied up Shervin. But you're right, 0 of 3 from the field.
Yeah, Murdy's come in with really good energy. She came in that first quarter for Dakota just to spell her a little bit, but she's come in aggressive. And, you know, when you're assigned to Hannah Shervin, she can hurt you in a variety of ways. I mean, she's great around the rim. She's aggressive. She's physical. She's got a terrific wingspan, I think 6'5". And Murdy's she's risen to the occasion when she's come in for Dakota.
Drive, kick, 3 in the air. Johnston hits it. 1-point game after Omaha trailed by 10 at the end of 1. Now, this is what Omaha did against Western Illinois. Hit a bunch of key threes, made 8 in that semifinal win. Poole got fouled.
Well, Omaha just continues to share the basketball. Great find by Frost to set up that 3-point shot. This play does not happen unless she gets Corn Gable to commit in the paint. What sets up Sophie Johnson for that 3. Sophie Johnson known for her defense and big threes. She's showcasing it so far as Omaha's climbed back into this game.
Meanwhile, you're watching 34 in the white, right? That's Shervin. She's got it. Through the traffic, scores it. Difficult shot.
It comes into this tournament, averaging 17 points a game. She's the defending tournament MVP. All eyes on her.
Another tie-up. Possession arrow this time favors the Coyotes. She gave North Dakota State all sorts of problems yesterday. We asked Dawn Plitzawhite, what's her wingspan? She brings the 6'5" wingspan of the paint. Great length, great reach. Maddie Krull scores it to extend the lead to 5 for the Coyotes. A timeout in Sioux Falls. Covering the teams that we want to avoid seeing the NCAA tournament. 2:05 to go in the first half. Omaha, Steffi, was down 13-0 in this game, back within 5.
Well, Carrie Banks loves the fight of this team, despite the turnover there. And talking to her about coming into this job in its first year. Listen, this program had won 7 league games in the last 3 years, 7, and they're in the finals today. And this is something that, you know, Carrie Banks in her first year has been able to do, given the COVID year as well, where it was such a difficult offseason in terms of meeting players, getting chemistry, and she feels like as the season gone on with cancellations, with injuries, they finally, leading up to this point, were able to get more games in, get in more chemistry, and that was ultimately key for her. It's just remarkable in your first year to be able to get to the finals, and the tournament dominated really by South Dakota State and South Dakota.
Think about this. They had a stretch in January, went 3 weeks without games. That is just significant. And Shervin is headed to the free throw line. And when you take that rhythm away, what's it like when you're constantly starting and stopping and can't fall into what's already kind of was set up to be a disjointed rhythm anyway this year, the way the league scheduled out conference play?
Well, most teams are adjusting to the differences in what are our safety protocols, what are our testing schedules, or, you know, what are the rules that they have laid out. But that's all for most teams, but also a team in Omaha with a first-year head coach. They're learning her, and she's learning them as well. You throw that into the mix with all the uncertainty and, you know, all of the different adversities that have come teams' way. So that's why I think why it's just remarkable that they're here and they're competing for an opportunity to get to the NCAA tournament.
You know, it's cool to see an 8 seed in a championship game. They were the first 8 seed just to advance out of the first round in the Summit League tournament. Horngable got caught and bailed out that time as Yugowski cut to the rim. It was last touch by Omaha. And the Coyotes inbound it with 15 on the shot clock. Boy, Omaha has kept Shervin in check, but you can't leave her that open off the inbound.
So smart for South Dakota, understanding time and score. You can go 2 for 1, a quick shot there, you get a stop, you've got 10 seconds left to get another offensive opportunity. That's what I'm talking about, a high IQ. Got 5 coaches out there on the floor for the Coyotes.
Murray blocked but fouled. And so Shervin got a piece of the shot, but too much body. Murray has some free throws coming.
And Claire Killian here defensively. She's going to have to make a decision. Do I follow the shooter? She gets stuck in the mud. Because why? You got to guard Chloe Lamb on the perimeter, but you can't leave Hannah Shervin open. That's why that big 3 really lead the way for South Dakota. Because you got to respect them all over the court.
It's been a frustrated Shervin at times in this half. She's 2 of 5 from the field. 5 rebounds, but Omaha has given her some fits. It's an 8-point lead. The Coyotes trying to take maybe a double-digit lead into the break. Looking to punch its ticket to the NCAA tournament. Krull finds Horngable. Fades. 8-point game at the half. And a high-scoring South Dakota club held to just 29 points. Omaha slowing the pace down as it had done in its first 2 games. The 8 seed trying to make history, down by 8. Coming up, stay tuned. It's the Audi Halftime Report with Kelsey Riggs, Rebecca Lobo, and Andy Landers. Right after this, halftime in Sioux Falls. To the Summit League Women's Basketball Championship as part of ESPN's Champ Week, presented by SoFi. A gritty, competitive first half. South Dakota, the 2 seed, trying to get back to the NCAA tournament for the first time in 2 years with an 8-point lead. But it's been more competitive than one would think. With Steffi Sorensen, Kevin Fitzgerald with you. Tempo was a big component of that first half, no?
Yeah, I think Omaha, was a little nervous to start this game. South Dakota's been here. They've been in this moment, so they came out hot. They started extremely well, but Omaha fought back. And I think a big part of that was kind of slowing the game down, locking in defensively, making things tough for the big 3 for South Dakota, and that's kind of how they chipped away at the lead. They hit some 3-pointers, and I think that the recipe for success for Omaha has got to be depth and balance. Sharing the basketball. Everybody was able to get involved in that first half.
And you're right on. You can see the start. South Dakota led 13-zip, was up 10 after the first quarter. Omaha was able to chisel into the deficit, was at one point within 4. Down 8, an empty first possession. Second half, inside the Sanford Pentagon, the winner, the Summit League champs. And they can pack their bags for San Antonio. You mentioned balanced scoring, 7 different scores for Omaha. No one with more than 4. This is the type of game that Terry Banks wanted. That's a foul, as that basketball tumbled towards Sarah Schmidt. The last time these two squared off was in the first round of the Summit League tournament a year ago. And look at the lopsided score.
Yeah.
New year, new coach for Omaha. Terry Banks has this team playing with a belief and a confidence it hasn't played with all year. The step through that time. Pilakuta couldn't get it to go, but the follow, and it's a 6-point game again.
A reminder for folks that Omaha was picked to finish last in this conference coming into the season. They're here in the finals, and South Dakota previously, when they played last year, as we just saw in that graphic, that they got smoked, and then
big 3 for Chloe Lamb. 13 today. He's gone for 22 and 18 in the first 2 wins for South Dakota. Pilakuta lost it.
Pilakuta has struggled in this game because South Dakota has made it difficult because they have been double teaming. Of course, Omaha will take that basket there. But they go right back to her on the previous possession there. She turns it over. South Dakota looking to capitalize. But Kevin, I wanted to go back to Omaha, the fact that they were able to upset South Dakota State. It was a previously a pretty lopsided, outcome before that as well. I mean, the difference here is this team believes that they're going to win. They are playing with confidence. They're defending. So they're looking to do the same thing they did to South Dakota State to this South Dakota team.
And their advantage in this tournament has been in the paint. I would say on both sides of the floor, offensively and defensively. The underdog run to the championship game, knocking off a South Dakota State team that was in the top 25, was on that lengthy win streak, held the Jackrabbits to 40 points, then defeated Western Illinois, and now can they make history and not only go to the program's first NCAA tournament at the D1 level, become the first 8 seed in this tournament's history to reach the dance. So improbable. They are playing their best basketball of the season. Excellent backdoor cut from Lamb, who's got 15.
Great play for the Coyotes. I think, you know, if Omaha wants to really fight and claw to get back in this game, they have got to do a better job of taking care of the basketball. Right now, 10 turnovers, 11 turnovers. And they typically do a pretty good job of taking care of the basketball. That's what kept them in games so far in this tournament championship. Difference would be against the South Dakota team, they'll make you pay offensively.
Foul on the loose ball. Coyotes take it.
Well, Hannah Shervin is a terrific decision maker at that point guard or at that post player position. Little screen, and if you're not communicating and you see 33 in black, Murdy, she gets caught, and that's the difficulty in guarding a motion offenses. There's so much actions away from the ball, and if you're not communicating, not on the same page, you can get layups if you execute in your half court.
Kroll makes Omaha pay. They came with some pressure, and now the lead back up to 14, just like that. Largest of the day for the Coyotes. Omaha just one field goal this quarter and a careless turnover. Shervin for 3. It's an 11-2 run to start the third quarter. Shervin, when she's that open, she'll nail it. ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by U.S. Bank, a proud supporter of the Summit League, equal housing lender, member FDIC. Sioux Falls in March means a championship time. What? This is straight out of the movie set of Hoosiers. This is inside the Sanford Pentagon.
Yeah, it is.
The old school timers. And yes, that is, they are not props because that is the score. I also like the old school lane line there. You see, it's a real throwback when, you know, Wilt Chamberlain was, with his reach, could basically just reach out and touch the rim from the lane line.
Yeah, they got tons of three-point markers, too, because this arena, they host G League. They've got state championships coming up. Obviously, men and women's college basketball. Vintage clocks.
All right, so I referenced Hoosiers. So what was your favorite go-to bus movie at Florida? There's a reverse layup now at 19 point. What do you got? Doesn't even have to be sports related.
That's a really good question. Maybe The Hangover? That's such a good fun. It's so funny.
That's a go-to
It's a
for
classic.
any occasion.
I should say I was busy studying tape, Kevin.
Yes, of course. Well, We all knew that, just, in your downtime afterward. Oh, South Dakota by 19. 4:40 to go. Summit League title game.
The NCAA Women's Basketball Championship on ESPN.
It's Jackson on the drive for the lead. Got it to go! And that's it. The Baylor Lady Bears are back at the top of college basketball.
Chloe Lamb, Steffi making a case for tournament MVP, perhaps.
No doubt. And she has been balling in this game, shooting the three ball really well. I love her ability to get open off of screens. She's been aggressive and assertive within the offense. You're just pretty basketball. Gets the dump down, and she can also drive mid-range. And Chloe Lamb really she's always involved in some way within their offense, whether she's setting a teammate up, she's setting a screen, or she's hitting a three-pointer. I mean, she is dangerous from the three-point line, especially in league play. I mean, almost hitting 50%.
Dawn was telling us yesterday she is just a shot maker. She's got the 15 today, went for 18 and 22, and the Coyotes' first two wins. On a night where it's been difficult, or afternoon I should say, for Hannah Shervin, she puts the 2 seed up by 20. Omaha must start stringing some stops or baskets together. Offensive foul, and Ugowski stepped in to take the charge. That's Killian.
That's a tough fall.
Slow to get up.
For the senior. Watch that elbow when she comes down.
Just a hard fall everywhere. Both knees, the elbows. And this, maybe, you never know with the extra year of eligibility for everybody, but is this the last time he's on the floor playing for Omaha? It's been such a tumultuous up and down career with so many ebbs and flows, the coaching change, but she mentioned after yesterday's game, it's just been an incredible 3-day stretch for her.
Yeah, Claire Killian had 22 points in that semifinal game, and she played that game with food poisoning, and that was her flu game, according to Carrie Banks. That was playing sick and missed all the shoot-around and film, but she came out and had a terrific game, and she's been here for the journey of a lot of ups and downs, as you talked about. So they need her on the floor. We hope she's okay. They're going to go right into Dakota, and leave somebody
and
in
still
media.
went for 22.
Yeah,
after the
22 with food poisoning, and someone asked her about, is it destiny your team is here? She said, I just think we deserve and have worked to get here. And she is a tireless worker in the gym, on and off the floor.
Oh, Shervin traveled. And while it is a 20-point game, South Dakota has been flummoxed at times. The highest scoring offense in the league, just 44 at this point, only had 29 at the break. This is Frost. Got it. And the work must be done on this end. Shervin, foul, count it. One more coming.
What a play in half court, in their motion offense. It's just so pretty. You get right into the paint, you draw the defender over, late help, and you can't leave of anybody. Hannah Shervin wide open for a layup, who draws the foul and makes the old-fashioned three-point play. And South Dakota right now flexing its muscle of trying to get itself into the NCAA tournament. Some unfinished business for the Coyotes, who thought They would be playing last March, but ultimately it was cut short.
Thorn Gable extends the lead to 22. Back-to-back turnovers. Thorn Gable collects. Shervin, short.
Kevin, you remember at the half, I said, if they really want to get back in the game, they've got to really take care of the basketball because South Dakota plays so quickly. They'll make you pay, as I think Chloe Lamb looks to be hurt.
There were several Coyotes who went tumbling on the change of possession. That's Lamb, who leads all scorers with 15. The senior from Oneida, South Dakota. Hey, you've been in this building this time of year. Can you just imagine what it would be like under normal circumstances? Vermillion just about an hour or so from Sioux Falls.
Yeah.
With a 2 seed up by 22 in the title game. The trip to the NCAA tournament on the line. Down and out for Pilacuda. Shervin relentless on the glass. Helps the Coyotes get a new 20. Gebert off balance? No.
Some really good looks for the Coyotes. A couple opportunities there, and they're so tough with a shot fake and a head fake, so disciplined, playing on 2 feet, making good decisions, empty possessions there, but a stop for Omaha nonetheless, what you want going into this fourth quarter.
Been a tough day for Pilacuda, the junior from Cyprus. Now with 8, 4 of 10 from the field. Had faced the double team all day. Inside of a minute, third quarter. Omaha trying to slice it back to 17 or 18. The first ever 8 seed to reach the conference tournament title game. Trailing the Coyotes by 20. Foul. 6 points to go in the third. Lamb back near the bench. Took that tumble on the court earlier, and meanwhile, getting loose, just some jogs up and down the tunnel.
About an incline? Running a couple of incline sprints. These kids, they are so tough. Both teams. So much adversity thrown their ways.
So remember, Monday night, the exclusive live announcement of the 64-team NCAA Women's Championship field. Complete breakdown of every team, every matchup. That's going to be Monday night with the women's selection special on ESPNU at 8. South Dakota, 10 minutes away. It won this tournament a year ago, was denied the trip to the NCAA tournament behind Chloe Lamb's hot shooting. The Coyotes 10 minutes away from a championship.
There's a saying, move as a team, never move alone. Together we struggled. Together we persevered. Now we're here.
For the first time, 2 black women are playing for an SEC championship.
United, we win.
Start of the fourth quarter, 19-point lead for the 2-seed South Dakota Coyotes. With Steffi Sorensen, Kevin Fitzgerald with you. Just on the heels of that, Steffi, you were there. You were in Greenville. What was that like?
Amazing. First time in history of the SEC Championship, 2 black female head coaches squaring off, and those two, Dawn Staley and Joni Taylor, inspire me. And even talking to Carrie Banks and Doja Woods, who is the new head coach for Denver within this Summit League, 2 black females that can rely on each other as well. There's a sense of sisterhood, and I love that piece and being a part of just a slice of a moment of history. Really awesome to be a part of, though.
South Carolina finishes at the top of the conference again. Remember, South Dakota opened up its season against the Gamecocks. The Coyotes.
And were close. They played them very well. I mean, Charlie referenced that game, and they hung tough. And South Carolina, they're peaking at the right time. They look like they could win a national title, and South Dakota lost by just 10 to them.
The formula this year for the Coyotes is one you might want to bet on come next week. They tested themselves early, faced South Carolina to start the year, then faced a ranked Gonzaga team, played the Zags really tough, lost at Oklahoma as well. They faced some tests, then went on to win 7 straight after getting swept by South Dakota State. They have not lost since. They've won 8 in a row. Number 9 gets them a Summit League championship. ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by SoFi. Get your money right. And Sanford Health. Better health starts with primary care. Find a provider at sanfordhealth.org. South Dakota's 8 minutes, 29 seconds away from lifting that trophy.
Yeah, they've been fantastic offensively within the half-court set, and it's just simple plays like this, cutting away from where defenders are, and because they operate with such great spacing. South Dakota has 17 assists in this game. Hannah Shervin, again, she cuts to where no one is. It sounds simple, but when you have players, seniors with experience, know the system and understand each other, they play well off of each other, they're able to execute so well in the half-court.
Well, it was fun listening to Dawn describe the seniors, just rave about them, the accountability they bring to the table every day. There's just an appreciation among the players for one another. And sometimes that's not the case on great teams. But here is South Dakota, 18-5, on the verge of winning its 2nd straight and 3rd Summit Tournament overall.
You know, Kevin, we had her on the phone for quite a bit. I feel like she could have kept going, though, about this senior class. You know, because they're special. It's hard not to want to share with others about what they've brought to the table and the buy-in. And, you know, when Dawn Plitzowite took this job, they were in pretty good shape under Amy Williams, who's now at Nebraska. But she's kept it going and then some. You know, their ability to continuously get to the Summit League Championship and also NCAA tournament appearances, and the big 3 that we've seen today, and Shervin, Corn Gable, and Chloe Lamb have really led the way.
Lamb with 17. Shervin starting to get hers, if you will, 16, and most of those in the second half. It's been Dakota domination here, hasn't it? Only once since 2008 as a team other than South Dakota or South Dakota State won this tournament. And it appears that that trend is not going to change. Shervin, a chance for one more.
Shervin, the screener. I always say the screener is one of the most dangerous players on the court because they're going to get open. And Shervin makes them pay there.
Birdie to the free throw line. And Omaha, meanwhile, Steffi, boy, has provided quite a bit of entertainment this week in Sioux Falls, toppling the #1 seed, South Dakota State. Of course, without its best player, Maya Sellen, but even still holding a great Jackrabbits team to just 40 points. Rolling it right back out a couple of days later, doing it again, holding Western Illinois to 55 points in the semifinal win. And I think Omaha made the right choice with Carrie Banks. And this team will only lose 1 or 2 seniors. Many of the faces you see are back, likely next year.
And their defense, the fact that they defended as well as they have in the league championship, it's usually teams catch fire and they're shooting the 3-ball well, or they're just clicking offensively. It's not normally you hear a team defensively holding, South Dakota State to 40 points. And South Dakota's starting to pull away here in this game, and they've only shot 42% from the floor. I mean, in that first half, they were making defensive plays, making Hannah Shervin really work for her possessions. We've seen them now just get some easier looks.
Sarah Schmidt just scored that latest basket for the Mavericks, who Carrie Banks loves. Brings so much defensive intensity. Corn Gable, just a skilled scorer.
Dawn Plitzwhite talking about Corn Gable, and a lot of people get on the gun now, and when you go to practice, because they'll shoot the ball right back out to you, you can get up a lot of shots. But Corn Gable will get out there with an old school chair, like I did back when you're practicing, and we didn't have that gun yet, and go right up to the chair, you make your move and get to the basket, and you don't hear that anymore. That's just a rarity for a player to do, and kind of speaks to Corn Gable and her approach.
Come on, didn't you love practicing defensive slides by yourself in the gym?
When she mentioned it, it brought me back to, I had a shooting coach, and he'd bring out 2 chairs, and I was like, for an hour, and you'd just go right at the chair. You'd be on the chair, you'd dribble off the chair. It was so tough, but it puts you in a really good position as a shooter. Instead of just kind of standing around and the gun shoots the ball right back out to you, you don't really have to move around that much. So, got a lot of respect for the senior Liv Corn Gable, busting out the chairs.
Foul on the drive. Josie Filer hits the deck. Boy, Filer has had a great week. And while this Omaha run may come up short, the junior has been very strong. So the 64-team field is going to be announced on Monday night. Sign up to play the Women's Tournament Challenge at ESPN.com. You fill out your bracket for a chance to win $10,000 in Amazon gift cards. Go to ESPN.com/TCWomen.
And if you're people like my mom, you don't fill out your bracket with a pencil. She likes to do that so she can go back, erase a little bit. I'm like, no, you can't do that. You gotta fill it out with a pen or online.
Oh, just giving away just tossing her under the bus just like that. Hey, listen, sometimes I need to do that, right? On Monday, you're really sure of something, but
look, I don't sleep on my mom. She's got
you
good
start
brackets.
to second guess yourself.
She's got good brackets. When she busts out the whiteout is when I got to start asking questions. Hey, look, I know you didn't have that upset.
But let me ask you this, South Dakota, Charlie Cream, right now projects them right around that 10 line. This is a team I would be a little wary of if I'm a 2 seed. That is, if South Dakota advances, stays on that 10 line. That could be a little bit of a nerve-wracking second round matchup for the 2 seed. Well, here goes. This is where you wish you had the fans. Shervin, the senior, checking out. You have been mentioning those 5 seniors and even the injured Monica Arns as well. There goes Lamb. Lamb likely the tournament MVP. We'll see. Shervin has 20 today as well. But that trio, Korn, Gable, Lamb, Shervin, Claudia Kunzer off the bench, who is the, how did Coach describe her? The most spirited, the funniest, the positive one at all times. If nothing else, the team DJ.
These seniors coming out were part of Dawn Plitzwite's first recruiting class that really believed in what she wanted to do at South Dakota, stayed, and have made a huge impact on this program. And I don't think South Dakota will be an easy out in the NCAA tournament. I really don't. I mean, South Dakota State has had a really good season. I think losing Maya Sellen, their best player, will affect where they land in terms of seeding and how they can regroup. Obviously, you know, Omaha upset them, but South Dakota, their experience and the leadership that they have on the court, I think that will pay dividends later down the stretch in a year where they don't really know what to expect. And especially going into San Antonio, all teams being there, it's a unique experience. And when you have senior leaders who can kind of coach everybody up, Dawn Plitzwite, she can be late for media and her seniors just start the press conference anyways. You know, that's what she's working with, and I think that's going to be dangerous in the tournament.
That happened yesterday after their win against North Dakota State. It was a 1-point game around the midway mark of the second quarter. It was 21-20, and since then, 39-13 run, or make it 14 part. That is South Dakota. They can ignite, and in a hurry. Three in the air for Abby Johnson, the sophomore from Eden Prairie, Minnesota.
And we talked a lot about Omaha's defense, but, you know, South Dakota right now limiting Omaha. No one in double figures, really. So they came out and caused some havoc defensively and were able to use that on the offensive side of the floor, get some easy points, and just execute in their half court, which is exactly what, you know, if you're Dawn Plitzwite, that's what you wanted to see. Lock down defensively, execute in your half court.
And I almost ask it rhetorically because I think the strength of this South Dakota team is the depth, is the experience. You know, where's the weakness? What's the type of team that can give them fits in the NCAA tournament?
Well, I think if you have a player like Hannah Shervin, she's pretty much your big inside, right? But she's only 6'3". So if you got two teams with 6'5", 6'7", you know, how can South Dakota attack that? Or can they get as easy buckets around the rim? I mean, that's when you're starting to really get into scheming and game planning, and I think smaller teams can still win those games because they can draw bigs away from the rim, and you got to hit threes in those scenarios. So I think it's all about their matchups, honestly, but I do like the guard play, and then obviously Hannah Shervin, she defends so well for the Coyotes.
6 days away from Selection Monday, and South Dakota is going to be one of the teams, one of the names that will get slotted somewhere in the NCAA tournament. They won this thing last year. 48 hours later, their season was over. Much like every other team across the country. After that Claudia Kunzer basket. Now a 27-point cushion.
This is a statement, I think, for South Dakota to come out here and really put the foot on the gas in that second half and extend this lead. Because, you know, Kevin, the committee, especially this season, introducing the net on the women's side, looks a lot at who you're playing, how you're playing, and how efficiently. So they're looking at scores. And in some instances, coaches would like to sub so they could keep that lead but let their players rest. And we've seen some coaches this season, like, they've kept starters in longer because they want the game to look better to the committee. And that's kind of been an adjustment for some coaches this season in terms of the net and how it affects seeding. And I think that's why you look at South Dakota, I mean, that's a great net. And it's just a metric that the committee will use this year. But a tremendous showing, I feel like, from the Coyotes from start to finish. I mean, a little lull in the second quarter, but you have to credit Omaha for trying to hang and fight with the Coyotes.
Well, it's almost it. If you're crunching the numbers, how about these for the net? They take down Oral Roberts in the first round by 23. Knock out NDSU by 26 yesterday in the semis. Hold a 25-point advantage. There is the injured Monica Arns, who we mentioned before. Lost for the season, one of the 5 seniors. And have led the way for the Coyotes.
That is a player that Dawn Plitzwhite can talk a long time about. A tough kid, a leader on and off the floor. Obviously wishes she could be out there with her teammates. Last year they thought they would be in the NCAA tournament. There was no NCAA tournament. See the emotion from her. And
the ACL tear before the season. But this year, indeed, her team's going to advance. And the emotions, and that's what March brings out. Frost will be part of the future, by the way, for Omaha. One of the few freshmen in the rotation. The first ever 8 seed to make it out of the first round, let alone the championship game of this tournament. Omaha went on that spirited run just to play in this game. But no stop for the Coyotes. You'll hear their name next Monday. They can get the bags back for San Antonio. They won it last year. No tournament to prove their worth. This year, though, Summit League champions. And they're heading back to the NCAA tournament. Nine wins and counting. 9 consecutive victories for South Dakota. And they will head to the NCAA tournament red hot.
Looking at a South Dakota team that had a lot of adversity this season, like a lot of other teams, but theirs specifically spent about 48 to 50 days on the road, could not get any sense of chemistry, continuity, sleep in your own bed, you know what I mean? And once they finally got home, they got on a roll, and they are not going to look back. Their sights are set on San Antonio.
20 points for Hannah Shervin in the championship game. A game-high 17 for Chloe Lamb. She hit the 3 triples, 6 rebounds. Just a collective effort for the South Dakota Coyotes heading to their third NCAA tournament. Hope you enjoyed it. For Steffi Sorensen, our entire great crew, of Kevin Fitzgerald saying so long from the Sanford Pentagon. South Dakota, the Summit League champs.